an extended family, but because that's really what the base of her life has been. Over the years, I've read letters to and from her sister, her father, and others. All of it just reinforces how important family is and what your roots mean to family and how just a truly happy person Hallie has been. Key to longevity, you ask? Well, if I'm observing and answering, it's because she chooses to wake up and say, this is another great day. That positive attitude, continuing to move and learn, being curious, and of course there's a pack of cigarettes and a couple of martinis every day. Wish that was true. She and my dad, Max, moved 10 times in 20 years when Dad was a site developer for Montgomery Wards after his stint in the Marine Corps and World War II. They lived an average of 2 years in each place. Hallie made friends in each new place and loved keeping up with many of them, mostly letter writing and occasional visits when they could. As we prepared for this event, I realized she is keeping up with those that are still with us, and those that aren't, she's keeping in touch with their children. It's quite unbelievable. She's kept up with 3 or 4 generations of the Palmers, her first real employer here in Bel Air, when she was just out of college. She keeps up with people that helped her with my dad when he was ill. She keeps up with her former bug man, who is now retired. Her long-term friendships, her curiosity, and her genuine caring nature is what's kept her sharp all these years. Not to mention, she actually enjoys still doing her own book work. When you are talking with Hallie, she is listening. In this fast-paced world, it's a rare treat to have someone's full attention. And she remembers everything. It always amazes me when she says something like this. Oh, it's the 10th. That's Laura's birthday. That's a neighbor. I have a hard time remembering my siblings, much less the neighbors. Hallie reads the paper cover to cover, watches the news every day. She's curious and interested in everything that crosses her life. She's never been much on fancy designers or jewelry or those sort of things, as evidenced by the fact that one of her sofas was purchased in 1959, the year I was born. I think it's recovered, maybe. She's a very frugal bird. Hallie stood by her man, helping him in business and raising the children, caring for him at home until the day he died. She delivered Meals on Wheels into her 80s to folks younger than herself, served as president of the YWCA, is a colonial dame, and is still active on St. Teresa's Guild at Church of Ascension. That's what's important to her. As a little girl, y'all might not know this, but Hallie was a nudist. I didn't know they had telephones back then, but when she was about 2 years old, her mother got a telephone call from a neighbor that said, Harriet, did you know Hallie was running around in the rain naked? She was probably taking a little bath to save water. She got her driver's license when she was 12. In South Carolina, you could legally do that. It was 50 cents, and she got a Kodak Brownie camera to boot. She promptly drove her father down to Florida because they were wintering there when she was age 13. That was about the time the family decided to buy a house in Florida, fully furnished, in Harbor Oaks, next to the church, with an extra lot for $5,000. Movies at the Capitol Theater were a regular outing that she took with her father and with many other dates. Thank you, Steve Fowler, for remodeling that and not tearing it down, by the way. She told me one of her favorite movies was called What's Going to Happen in 1950. So she graduated from Clearwater High School at age 16 and later went off to Winthrop College for Women. The Fenway Hotel had tea dances, and it was a girl bid era. I said, what does that mean, Mom? Well, there were a lot more girls than men at that time, so they got to pick who they wanted to dance with. And the Park Inn was where the roundabout is now. Mr. Hatz ran the place and made sure all the girls were safe with the military men. The USO had dances and parties at the Clearwater Yacht Club near Palm Pavilion. The women of Clearwater made sandwiches for the parties, and many of the younger girls met their future husbands there. It's almost over. It was while Hallie was living with her parents on Turner Street and working at Mr. Palmer's in Bel Air that she too met that dashing Marine and later married him at the Church of Ascension. Cedar Mountain, North Carolina is one of Hallie's favorite places. She, and then we, spent many of the summers up there, and we're so happy, we are so happy tonight to have some of her wonderful family from up there with us today. Ann, my godmother, Mom, thank you. Her younger sister is here with her daughter Ann and her son Rivers and Barb, and Uncle Buddy, Alexander, who one of our boys is named after, is here with his beautiful daughter Lisa. Susie and Jim and a few others are here, as well as Mom's rest of her kids and family from Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina. So many friends have been here, have driven far to be here, and I couldn't thank you all more. I can't thank my friends Karen and Rita and everybody else that helped. I'm forgetting names today to set up things. And Hallie can tell you stories about this very spot, the Bellevue Biltmore, where they put up military during the war at the old hotel, where she stopped on her bike to watch a celebrity golf tournament when she was no doubt on her way to work at Mr. Palmer's, only to be accused by Babe Ruth himself of moving his golf ball, which she didn't do. She could tell you about rationing and having darkouts, no lights on the beach, many times during the war, because they thought the enemy might be right there in the Gulf of Mexico. She could tell you about having Sunday supper timed for the ice cream delivery to get there right after the meal, because they didn't have a freezer. And she could show you her first membership card to Carlowell. The dues were $10 a year, and the year was 1939. Thank you all so much for being here. Having lovely Hallie in all of our lives is a treasure. My mom is special. She's continuing to be an influence on me and on our boys' lives, and that's why I'm so lucky. Thank you so much.
Debbie, thank you so much. I think Debbie really deserves a round of applause. She has been working on this for months and months, and sleepless nights, and she has really been able to multitask like nobody else. I'm Warren, number one son, by the way. I also thank you all for being here. This is absolutely wonderful, and I just, my heart overflows with joy to be here. I'd like to take a little, let me say first that you all heard that it's the Queen's birthday today, right? Well, the media got that a little bit wrong. The Queen was born 2 days ago. This is just what we're celebrating. They also got her age wrong, which is, I guess, fake news. They said she was only 92. The Queen is 100. And she was born on April 19th, 1918, graduated from Clearwater High School in 1934. And Debbie filled in on most of the rest. Some things that I was going to say, probably should have coordinated this. But at any rate, I did a little research. I was born in 1945. They were married in the Church of the Ascension right here in Clearwater on November 7th, 1944. I was born just a little after 9 months later in Washington, D.C. And from there, the family moved and steadily grew 11 times in 22 years when they moved here in 1966. And we didn't just move across town, we moved state to state. His dad was being promoted, and getting better jobs and moving from Washington to Morgantown, West Virginia, upstate New York, twice in New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a couple of times in Ohio when Mike and Jean were born, where they were. I think Debbie was born in New Jersey. Chicago, outside North Shore, Chicago, finally in Baltimore, Maryland. I went to 3 different high schools. So we moved 11 times in 22 years. Every other year, I think Debbie quoted that right. I researched that, by the way, by looking at an old document I had from the Marine Corps when I applied for security clearance. I had to list everywhere I'd ever been since I was born. You guys know how that goes. And I had to ask Mom. I said, I don't know where we were in 1947 when I was 2 years old. And she knew it all. And she still knows it all. And she'll know it all from, even the month we were there and when we moved. Sometimes we had 2 or 3 houses because Dad got promoted so much we hadn't sold a house yet. But at any rate, that was an adventure, and Debbie filled in a lot of the rest, and I won't say a whole much more on that, but I do have one little story that I'll tell that I remember, and I know Mike remembers this too. I don't know about Gene because he was pretty smart when he went off to school. When we went off to school, to college, she would have us write a letter home once a month saying how we're doing, what our grades are, and what's going on in the dormitory or wherever we were. And when she got the letter, that was getting a letter was contingent upon our getting $20, which was our monthly allowance. But I mean, she had another thing in mind, because when the letters came and there was any grammatical errors or other spelling issues or something, she would circle them in red and send them back to us. So sometimes you got the $20, sometimes you didn't. So we became very careful about that. I know Mike remembers that. But it's been a wonderful life, and I just hope and pray it continues. And I thank you so much for being here. We had a good mother, a good father, a good growing up in an honest religious background, and with our faith, and the things that we believe in are the right things, and we did right. I think we all became somewhat successful as a result of her being there, when oftentimes Dad couldn't. She really was the stalwart, the yeoman that led the way for us to be successful in life. And thank you, Mom.
I'm not going to bore you with a lot of long stuff like they've told me. Everything they've told me is exactly what I would tell them. So why repeat it? But I'm Gene, the number 2 boy. I'm the one that was born in Steubenville, Ohio. We got there after going to Morgantown, West Virginia, and prior to that was Washington, D.C., where Warren was born. It reminds me that Steubenville, Ohio, though you may know was named for Baron von Steuben of the Revolutionary War, was actually called Stupidville.
Microphone.
I got
Gene, microphone, but Gene.
attention, I guess.
Gene, microphone.
Oh, can you hear me now?
That's
Step to the left.
This way?
Yeah, left. You're blocking the photos.
Susie, take his place, quick.
I had no idea.
There you go.
Anyhow.
Good job. Stupidville.
As much as all of you love your family and your mother and your father and your children, everywhere I turn here, somebody says, "Oh, I met your mother. She's such a wonderful woman." Or, "I've known your mother for so many years. She's such an incredibly wonderful woman." That sums it up. I'm not going to bore you with more. I wish I could have more jokes to pass on or storylines. I'll probably think of some when she spanked me when I was a little kid. I do remember some. But basically, we have been blessed. And I think the whole community here has been blessed for the same reason, because Hallie is here. And she'll probably take me home and scream at me for saying stuff like that. She's very humble. And she's treated everyone she meets with, I guess, equality and humility and love and respect. And I can't begin to thank all of you for being here, because you've been here for a very, very special reason. We're starting the second century now for Hallie. And I hope we can all be here for the third. I don't think we'll make it, but we'll try. Thank you all.
Okay.
Here's a little Hallie now.
And Hallie Stone Jones, would you like to say hello? 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 Hallie, hi. Say hi. She's going to say hi. This is Hallie Stone Jones.
namesake.
I have 3 daughters. Jenny Stone,
This is Michael.
who's married to Baxter, and they have 2 children, Baxter, William Jones, and Hallie Stone Jones. And then I have Sky, who's with her daughter, Amelia. And then we have Rivers, which is another family name, could not make it. And then my lovely bride, Kim Maxon, her work schedule didn't allow. But I'm the youngest son, Michael. And again, foremost, thank you for the friendship you have given Hallie, shown Hallie. You are the reason Hallie is here with us today. I'm serious. You are the ones who keep her going, that every morning she gets up, who am I going to see today? Who am I going to talk with today? And she loves each and every one of you. And we wish this room were bigger so we could have had more. In fact, I think a few years ago, Debbie even considered putting an ad in the Tampa Tribune to make sure we didn't overlook anybody. We come to Hallie's, what was that, the 70th birthday, I believe we had here. But regardless, moving on, what Gene and Warren said, Debbie said, so accurate, so appropriate. They also pointed out, if you didn't catch it, we were raised as Yankees. I was born in Ohio, Ashtabula, not Steubenville, as Gene. But we were Yankees. We were raised in Ohio, to New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and so forth, until we did move back to Mother's home place here in the Clearwater, Bel Air area, where she attends the church today that she was married in so many years ago. But with that said, Hallie made sure that though we were in Yankee North Territory, that she instilled upon us Southern values. Southern values, not just grits. She said grits, not just grits. Though I do love grits with cheese and salt and a slice of tomato. But to hold the door open for a lady, to stand up when a lady enters the room, to make sure that the women of the family eat before you eat, things of that nature. Even to the point